It's 2020, 10X. I think our favourites have changed. So we're going to go through every single act tonight that we saw at the Australia rehearsals. We're going to tell you who we think is the favourite to win. Are you ready? Let's do this! Our favourites have changed. Let's start off with all acts that we've seen. So the first one that performed tonight was iOTA with Life. This was a performance that was a bit Cirque du Soleil, if you want to call it that. There was trapeze artists. iOTA was just rocking his unusual style on stage, but it really made it work. What do you think of his performance?
Yeah, I mean, Life wasn't one of my favourite songs coming into this, but what I will say is that it definitely justified opening the show. It really is a great opening act because it is so full of life, pardon the pun, but it just brings the energy and it sets the tone for the night. We didn't see the full performance of this one because of the earlier mentioned technical difficulties, but what we did see, it was a lot of fun.
Yeah. It's a circus act. Definitely a good starter to open up the show. Whether it will win, I'm not quite sure, but it definitely did well to open the night. So Act 2?
Yeah, so up second was Jordan-Ravi with Pushing Stars. And I just have to talk about his jacket because when I was interviewing him, I feel like all I could ask him about was his jacket because I was just like mesmerized by how shiny it was.
It was shiny, it was tight, it was making a lot of noises every time he moved.
Yeah. It's just a really nice jacket. I don't know where you get one of them. But he's got a guitar in hand and there's not too much grandness in terms of the staging or anything like that, but for the song that it is and for the performance that it is, it's perfect for what it is, I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't see it as one of the big contenders, but it's a very enjoyable number.
Yeah, I think it's a good start for him to kind of break into, I guess, some level of mainstream here. Very accomplished kind of guitarist as well. There were lots of scribbles in the LEDs in the back. Very cute performance. His jacket was on point, I'd agree with that. And I think he should be proud of what he has. Again, probably not necessarily a clear front runner for a winner, but he did very good. I got really kind of young Guy Sebastian vibes from him in a way.
Yeah.
So give it a couple more years and I think he could potentially do very well. Great singer,
Yep.
I must say as well.
Yeah.
Number 3 in the running order, and I think we were both just like jaw dropped by this, was Jaguar Jonze with The Rabbit Hole. Look, it's almost a recreation of the film clip, but they kind of take it from the recreation of the film clip to a live stage performance with her band, and it's the only act that actually has a full band this year, and it really makes a difference, I feel.
Absolutely. I mean, coming into this in the Wee Wee Jury, I did say that there are a lot of good songs, but nothing stood out for me, and I was waiting for the live performances to change that. And I had more than one wow moment tonight, and this was definitely the first one, and this was definitely the best one in my opinion. I really loved what they did with the start. So the start of the performance is like kind of Dihaj skeletons we were mentioning, and then there's like a little bit of Maruv in there. Yeah, it's quite an intense performance, and then there's a big reveal when the band comes in, and I had spine tingles all through that. It was brilliant.
It was like, not to use the cliche, but a bit of an emotional roller coaster. Like, it was the camera cuts were very frenetic at the beginning. It was uneasy to watch, actually, for the first half of it. And then there is that kind of reveal with the band. It's still very uncomfortable, but I think it's purposely meant to be uncomfortable. She's not meant to be comfortable on stage. She is very impulsive on stage, very like shaky, and that's the vibe that she's trying to create with the song.
Yep.
Mind you, one of the happiest people we interviewed, and like amazing to interview, but her stage performance and her stage character was really built through this song. And as you said, it's almost like nothing we've seen. Maybe the closest thing you can say is Dihaj from Azerbaijan, but like, it's nothing like we've seen.
Yeah, and I think the great thing is, like, we often talk about, oh wow, that music video is perfect, all they need to do is replicate that on stage. She's actually achieved that with a very difficult concept.
Yeah.
So I'm just absolutely floored by it.
Yeah, I'd say watch this one. One of our favourites of the night.
Definitely. So up next was Jack Vidgen with I Am King, I Am Queen. And I love it. Like, it was my second favourite coming into the contest, and the live staging doesn't particularly do anything to elevate it. There's some dancers wearing plastic bags, sure. But it's a very good song. It's very heartfelt, and the boy can sing.
Yeah, I think if we can say anything about this performance, Jack can sing. He's hitting like Mariah Carey level notes. Probably one of the best singers of the night. I agree with the dancers. They were good. I think there was an element of distraction there. They almost seemed somewhat indigenous in their look. I wasn't quite sure how that kind of linked in with the song. I think the stage design was great, and I would have loved to have seen just Jack on stage rather than the dancers that kind of, in a way, distracted from it. But yeah, good, amazing vocal performance, decent stage, and I think he's got a good chance to do well.
Yeah, no, I think that this will be quite, let's just say in the top half, I think this will definitely be there. It's definitely accessible for juries, vocally on point. He nails that big note.
Yeah.
And even for the televoters, I think a lot of people can relate to this, and I think he'll get his fair share of votes.
Yeah, he's a king, he's a queen, he's probably a winner in some ways. But
got him all covered.
Number 5 was Vanessa Amorosi, who is incredibly well hyped around here. I think the cheers were the biggest for Vanessa in the stadium. A very interesting performance of Lessons of Love. I think when we saw the performance coming out, we went, oh my God, there's a burnt up wreck of a car on stage, upside down. And we're like, where's Vanessa? She's right next to the car, kind of underneath. Obviously, they're kind of telling a story of a car crash, and she's just like lying on the floor, possibly somewhat unconscious, then rolls along the floor and then sings to the camera. I think we're all just like, wow, awesome, like, first 10, 20 seconds of that song. And then sadly, it didn't really go anywhere visually. There was a kind of skirt reveal where she ripped off her skirt. Great looking dress. Vanessa works the camera amazingly. I'm just not sure the concept of the visuals in the song really matched the song, or it really went to a place where it could have gone. I would have probably preferred to see the staging almost pared back. We got it all kind of gung-ho in the first 20 seconds, and then just a bit like, where do we go from here? So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's fitting that she used a car crash, because I thought it was a train wreck.
Oh, wow.
I mean, needless to say, it was my biggest disappointment of the night. Coming in here, she was my favourite.
Yeah.
I just think this was bad. First 10 to 20 seconds while she's lying on the floor dying out of this burning car, great, brilliant concept. Yeah. But nothing comes of it. Then she's like just up there and singing, and there's like a highway behind her with a storm, and then she has the dress reveal, but it's like a dress reveal in stages, not like one proper reveal. I'm just like, what's happening? Having said that, brilliant vocal performance, absolutely nails it. And I wouldn't be surprised if it did win, and I would be absolutely happy for it to win. Yeah. I just think that the whole staging concept needs to be completely thrown out and rewritten ahead of Rotterdam.
Couldn't agree with you more. I think amazing vocals. She knows how to perform. She's done this for 20 years. She's a veteran of being able to perform. The staging just didn't work with the song, in my opinion. They need to probably rework that. But again, I would not be mad if she won it. She delivers the song incredibly well.
Yeah, definitely. Up next is Diana Rouvas with Can We Make Heaven? And I really like the start of this one. So her staging is sort of she's got this big round thing that she's standing in the center of, and with the shapes and the visuals going on behind her, it looks like she's standing in the middle of a microscope. Yeah. And visually it's very interesting. For 1.5 minutes, maybe 2 minutes, towards the end it gets a little bit frenetic and messy, but once again, vocally brilliant. She can sing, much like the last couple of acts we've talked about. And I thought the visual concept definitely did elevate this one for me, whereas for a fair few of the other songs, the visuals didn't really do too much for me.
Yeah, I thought it was really cool to see the ring, and as you said, it was kind of microscopic at the beginning. And it's one of those things that I think for a Eurovision performance, it's always good when they throw you out like that, but then it's where do you go from there? And apart from kind of, changes to the LEDs, from going from red to blue to red to blue, it didn't really progress much from there. She has amazing vocals. I think, dogs could hear some of those high notes that she's saying. I guess my concern will be like with the song that some people have said doesn't go anywhere, even though she has amazing vocals, the staging also didn't go anywhere in that sense. Despite it looking very slick, her dress is amazing. She sings incredibly. Might just get lost in the middle of the pack of this 10, I think.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. I mean, it's a great vocal performance, but I mean, it is the Eurovision Song Contest, and I don't think this is one of the better songs.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Yeah.
Number 7 was Mitch Tambo with the song Together. Now, I've not been the biggest fan of this song. Only due to, I guess, the lyrics can be quite simple. I think the staging was quite good. He's a character. Like, he has so much personality. I think he's had probably one of the most personalities coming into this contest, maybe along with iOTA. And his look is great. I thought the colours that they had in the LEDs were really colourful, impactful. The dancers were definitely good. He was joined by about 5 kind of fluorescent dancers, and he kind of mixes this Indigenous look with kind of this modern R&B kind of look as well. The dances are interesting. And again, I think it was a thing of me just kind of going, when they introduced the dancers in kind of the first chorus, they didn't progress anywhere. They did do a little bit of a I don't know if you call it like a corroboree kind of dance towards the end, which was good. I would have wanted to see a bit more progression with it, with the staging, but definitely a solid performance. And how do you fans tonight?
Yeah, definitely. I think there was always going to be that little comparison to Electric Fields from last year. We got to interview him, and he is the nicest guy. So easy to have a chat with, and performance-wise, yeah, it is very colourful, which I wasn't really expecting out of this. What you have said about the song in terms of it being a little bit simple lyrically and all of that is accurate, but he brings it completely to life on stage, and I think he really does showcase his heritage and his culture brilliantly. It is just a really fun 3 minutes, especially in that second half of the draw. There's a lot of slower songs. This one really pops. It comes to life, and it is definitely a memorable one once all of them are done.
Yeah, it's definitely one I remember. I agree with that. And yeah, I think when you put it that way, it does work in the sense of you do remember it at the end of the 10 songs, especially in that last kind of 5 mix.
Up next is Casey Donovan with Proud, and she has every right to be proud after this one. Wow, this was, once again, it was another one of the very many songs that we do have today which were good, but I was just waiting to see it live, and this was probably the second wow moment I got of the night. It comes off the back of a lot of performances that have really big props, from Jaguar Jonze's whatever you want to call it to Jack Vidgen's Pillars and all of that. Casey Donovan has got nothing but the Mirror of Erazed behind her, and she sings to it. I mean, our first impression was, okay, she's got the same song title as North Macedonia's song of last year, and she's got mirrors too. But then the mirror goes, Casey Donovan is the only thing on the stage. It is dark, but she glows, and I mean, let's be honest, there's no better voice in Australia.
No.
She kills it, and I really think that this is one to watch in terms of a potential winner.
I think Australia Decides this year is the year of props, as Paul Clark said. but this worked because it didn't need any.
Yeah.
I agree with you, like when we first heard the name Proud and then we saw a mirror being dragged out, I'm like, okay, Macedonia, let's go. But that's where the comparisons ended. There was nothing else similar to it. Her appeal is how much she commands the camera on stage. It was purely just a performance of the camera on her and her voice. The song had so much progression as well, both in tone but also in looks as well. Like there were moments where she was about to hit the big notes and you're just watching her hit it and she becomes quite guttural and she's very intense on camera. I would not be surprised if this won at all. I think Casey is a bit of like Australia's sweetheart, Australia's darling, and she proved it to be exactly that. And I would not be mad if this won, with what I thought was a pretty basic song, but she elevated it. I think the meaning behind it now is also elevated in her performance as well. So really surprised and kind of, I guess I'd say, proud of it.
Yeah, and I mean, let's just also put it out there that, I mean, the voting, much like Eurovision, is 50% jury. There is no way on earth that juries aren't going to respect this, both here and in Rotterdam if it does get there. It's just a vocal masterclass, and Casey, Donovan, you have done it again. Yeah,
there you go.
Yeah.
Coming up next was Montaigne, definitely a pre-contest favourite. I'm not going to lie, when I saw her perform, her visuals, actually her look today, I was like, this is a lot of blue. I'm sure you've seen all the clips of her being very blue. I remember turning to Ant during the performance and saying, I think she is, anyone who follows Pokemon, saying a Galarian Mr. Mime. But you know what? I really like this performance. It is completely interpretive, and I think interpretive can sometimes fall flat. It's been done a lot at Eurovision. There was a lot of interpretive dance in Jack Vidgen's performance where it maybe didn't quite fit, but this was interpretive, but she was interpretive, and the whole performance was one take on a camera. There were no camera cuts, there were no camera shots from different angles. It was basically the camera revolving around her the whole time. It was much like Jaguar Jonze, uneasy in feeling. She was there with about 5 backup dancers / singers. They were holding her. She said she's not much of a dancer. She can dance. The girl can dance. And I just found the performance, watching it on TV, to be very almost forward-thinking, something that I'd love Eurovision to think about in terms of a performance. It's something we haven't really quite seen in that way. And I really loved it. Talking in the press room, there's a kind of division as to like whether the audience at home really understand interpretive dance. I think it was pretty clear that, you know, there's meant to be this uneasiness about her relationship, and, you know, despite the overwhelming blue, I think it really worked.
Yeah, the thing with interpretive dance is it's very easy as the dancer or as the artist to have a vision. It's not so easy to communicate that to the masses, but I thought the narrative that she was trying to portray here was very obvious. And yes, it was really frenetic at times, but that was the best part of it. It was almost like this girl's just broken out of some sort of institution and someone's trying to pull her back into it.
Right.
And it worked in every way. I mean, I was a little bit skeptical about this song coming here being the favorite or one of the favorites, but after seeing it live, I think it has certainly justified all of the hype.
Yeah.
And I think that she is in with a real chance.
Yeah, I think so. I hope the public do get behind this. Because I think it was really a solid performance. Last up
was Didirri with Raw Stuff, and it's a guy sitting at a piano. It was not the song we were expecting to close the show, but I think he really brought it home well. Not one of my favourite songs coming here either, but I really fell in love with the performance, and I thought it was a great ending to the show, especially coming off the back of Casey and Montaigne, who really did blow us away. I was like, this could be very forgettable after these 2 big performances, but it held its own. It was a very good performance by an up-and-coming artist who has certainly very much justified his position amongst this lineup with that performance.
Yeah, I think it was a nice exhale at the end of the pretty big show.
Yeah.
I think you couldn't make that performance better in the sense of, it is a young singer who's written a song that's very personal. He's sitting behind a piano, there's a window, there's nice little fields in the background. It was nice, it was pleasant, and I think it's exactly what he wanted his performance to look like, and it's what we knew his performance wanted to look like. It was very authentic to him. So I would love to see this, maybe break into the top 5 and kind of expose Didirri's name out there. It's not a typical Eurovision song, but that shouldn't be criticised. It's actually quite nice to have this kind of easy listening kind of song in the contest.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that there's certainly a place for any type of music at Eurovision, and between some of the songs and performances that we did see today, we have quite a lot of options in terms of having a credible entry representing Australia, and we could go for the big ballad in Casey, we could go for the out there song in Jaguar, but Didirri himself, really, it was a great performance.
Yeah. I think it was a very solid national final.
Yeah.
So, going amongst, I guess, our top 3.
Yeah.
It's hard to say, I think. There were a lot of really good, solid performances, and it kind of comes down to, I think, who we think the jury and televoters will probably back the most.
Yeah.
Go for it. Who's your number 3?
My number 3, my number 1 is very set in stone after the live performances, but I've been going back and forth between number 2 and number 3. My number 3 is Casey Donovan with Proud. Having said that, I rank it 3rd, but I think if I had to pick one that I think will win, I would go with this one because, as I said earlier, absolute vocal powerhouse, nails every note, brilliant performance, very minimalistic, but it didn't need any more. It certainly didn't leave you desiring any more, and the crowd definitely got well and truly behind her.
Yeah. That's completely accurate. I feel like this has a definite chance to win. Who'd my number 3 be? It's hard to split it. I think my top 3 are all pretty equal. I'd probably say 3rd might be Jaguar Jonze, with a couple of maybe corrections to camera shots. What I do love about this is it's nothing like we've seen at Eurovision, and I want to see something like that at Eurovision. I don't know if the public might find it too uneasy, but I think that's what gives it its appeal. And it really does bring something completely unique to Eurovision.
Yeah.
So that's my number 3. Number 2.
My number 2, again, I was going back and forth between Casey and my number 2. My number 2 is Montaigne with Don't Break Me. We have said everything about this performance. I mean, it is just bizarre, but that is the best thing about it.
Yeah.
I mean, you could describe the song itself as basic in some ways, not in a bad way, but certainly not wild and crazy just as a studio version, unlike Jaguar Jonze. But the performance brings it to life. It makes it the crazy song that it needs to be, and she sells it on that stage. It is a really good performance, and what you said about it all being done in one take, I think makes it really special.
Yeah. My number 2, I think we're going to sound like a bit of a broken record here. My number 2 is Casey Donovan. Well, look, wouldn't have picked it before coming into this contest. I very much discredited this song, but she is a master in elevating this song, this performance, making you feel something, which I didn't think I would feel out of this song. Maybe I felt a bit proud, I'm not sure, but I really enjoyed it. I think Europe will really love this. I think the juries will really love this. I think the public could totally get behind this because she has so much personality. So in that sense, would be happy to see this winning Australia Decides.
Yeah.
All right.
And my number 1 is taking me down that rabbit hole. It is Jaguar Jonze. I genuinely do think that it will be either Montaigne or Casey who does win this, but my personal favourite is Jaguar Jonze. It is crazy. And I just love that she's managed to bring that freneticness from the music video to life on the stage. And she's done that both through this sort of crazy little world that she creates in the first half of the performance, and then when you have the big reveal and the band comes in, you've got the music video going on in the background as well. It just works. I do think it might just be a little bit too out there for it to contend with the likes of Montaigne and Casey, which I think are more accessible songs for the masses, or even a Vanessa Amorosi. But personally, Jaguar Jonze has taken my heart and thrown it down the rabbit hole.
Look, I completely agree with that. It is such a solid song, and I think it's just really a battle of what place our songs are going to get, because my number one is Montaigne. I think what Jaguar Jonze does perfectly is you need to create a moment when you have a Eurovision song in 3 minutes, and she creates that moment halfway through. Montaigne does moments throughout the whole song. I feel you feel uneasy, there's changes in choreography, you have your eyes on her the whole time. I think you're right in saying Montaigne is probably a slightly more accessible song, and that comes down to even the songwriters that she has. It's DNA who wrote basically what Jessica's song, Dummy Im's song, who else really? Almost Isaiah's song. So a lot of Australian Eurovision entries, they know what they're doing, and Montaigne just sells it so well, despite looking like a female clown, which she describes she looks like. She's killed it, and I think all of Europe will look at that and go, this is polished, but it's not polished in the way that, Sweden can sometimes be. It's polished in the way that Australia's made it to be.
Yeah, it's not polished in the way that Kate Miller-Heidke or Dummy Im even was. It's very different from anything Australia has sent. Maybe not necessarily musically different, but thematically and visually a completely different package to anything that we've sent to Eurovision. I think Montaigne would be a fantastic choice, as I do with any of our top three. I mean, we've got the same top three in a different order, and I think any of them would be a fantastic choice for Australia.
I think they'd be amazing choices. Well, that's our top three, so we'd love to know who your top three are, who your favourite is probably after seeing the rehearsal clips. Let us know in the comments below.
Make sure to give this video a like and hit that subscribe button.
And we will see you tomorrow at the grand final, and we'll show you exactly who the winner is and hopefully get an interview with them. All right. See you later.
Bye.
Bye.